could be good afternoon, depending where you're at. I appreciate you taking the time. My name is Bill.heidt. I'm the National Sales Executive here at BRMS. I've joined BRMS kind of going back to January, so I've been with them a short while, but been in the industry for over 13 years, and it's a pleasure to be with you. Part of my role coming on as the sales executive is to provide relevant information to the broker community to help you with your existing client base, possibly help you gain that client you've been courting for a while, but more importantly, stay relevant. I'm putting on a series of WebExes, and during the WebExes, they'll probably be second or third Thursday of every month. But the point is, I wanted to make sure they're objective, and I'm not clouding the BRMS brand, although how good we are, but I want to make sure that, again, I'm bringing relevant solutions. Today's call is going to be a little bit different, where we are going to be discussing a BRMS topic, and that's by design, when we'll get into why that's important. But really what we're going to be doing is discussing our benefit administration program and why it's unique, why it's different, discuss some of the updates that we've implemented over the last 6 months, things we will implement before end of year, and more importantly, some of these greater concepts that we've been outlining as a team and what that's going to do to your current client base and why we deserve a shot moving forward at new clients. On the call with us today is going to be Shelly. Shelly's the Director of Sales and Marketing. She's going to go into a sample demo of our kind of new look and feel as it relates to our Vbas system. I've also invited Jane to participate in the meeting, and she's actually an account executive. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because all too oftentimes it's easy as a salesperson to discuss some of the challenges we have in the broker market, and so I wanted to get her real life kind of examples of when companies move in a direction of utilizing technology, and how does it affect her relationships both with the client and with the broker and us as a team. So really the goal of the call today really stemmed from kind of the pandemic we're in, the new norm. I know that we're probably all sick of hearing the new norm, but really a qualified benefit administration system is more important than ever, and that's because we're all spread out. Everyone's working remote. The HR manager that used to be 5 steps away is now working potentially in a different state, different city. And this becomes an issue if this pandemic continues, right? And we need to all put systems and operations in place so that we're a bit proactive about this environment versus reactive. And why that's important is because if we don't start having these conversations with our clients today, and we wait until potentially the 9th inning, as we kind of think about maybe a baseball game there as an analogy, people don't work well under stress. People don't work well if they haven't fully thought through a system and fully integrated and understand its moving pieces. So really today's kind of call is to discuss, again, the call of action as to what we had and what we have. So I've been involved with several conference calls, it seems like, on a daily basis, whether it be with insurance carriers, to national accounts, to major brokerage firms, to regional brokerage firms, to our vendor partners. And what's interesting is there's this continual number of 40% of all companies out there, groups, are not using a benefit administration system, or if they do, they're not using it at its full capacity, right? And what's interesting is, as I took a look at our book of business, which we represent over 550 groups, more than that going here in the next few weeks as we onboard a few more, but about 30% of our book isn't utilizing our online self-service, right? And what issues could arise from that? Again, if we look back and people continue to utilize these so-called paper applications, what is the potential bottleneck and jam that we're all going to experience in the amount of motion that's going to be flying from the client to the broker, to the account executive teams, to the sales team? I mean, this thing just becomes just an array of issues that I just, quite frankly, want to avoid. And so, again, I would like to share with the group today what BRMS is doing to help in this environment. So many of you on the phone today are working with BRMS, and thank you for the continued business. But there are just a whole host of folks on the phone today that are interested in BRMS and want to hear some updates. So just real quick, for those of you who aren't aware of us or just need a refresher, we've been in business for about 27 years. We are currently probably the largest TPA here in California. What makes us unique is the fact that we have about 215 employees, and we're all housed underneath one roof. Now, currently with the pandemic, most people are working from home, but the ease of us getting together and getting through an issue, or what we call kind of a fire, is very easy. And why that's important is because as we've been out kind of working with new brokers, the environment in the TPA space has changed. Right? We've seen TPAs get acquired by carriers, getting acquired by VC money, and we keep hearing the word trimming the fat. In other words, as these companies acquire these TPAs, they're getting rid of resources that our broker community was once used to, whether it be from account executive management teams to accounting to call centers to working with IT. And whereas we're positioned differently, we are family ran. And this company that I work for, BRMS, is all about a lineage and passing on this business to generations to come. And we're already seeing that through Matt Schaefer, who set up the company, now to Paul and Luke. And, Paul and Luke now have children, and eventually that's going to be passed down. And that's important because we want to be the company that provides that white glove service but has that national outreach. So BRMS continues to invest in our people, our software, our programs, our technology. And so we want to be that company. As change happens, we think it creates opportunity. And we want to make sure that we're positioned well to handle the business. And quite frankly, this is why I think we're seeing the double-digit returns that we're seeing today and as last year. So today, again, we'll be talking about our BIN admin system, but towards the bottom of the slide there, what I wanted to point out is all these other services that we offer. So with that, what I'd like to do is transition the presentation over, and we're going to introduce Jane here. And Jane's been with us since 2007 as an account executive. As I pointed out in the initial part of kind of my intro, it was important to me as a salesperson that we had someone kind of share with us kind of boots on the ground what her experience has been when working with companies that have predominantly kind of said, hey, I only want to use a paper app. And the experience has been once the company has acknowledged that it was just too much workload for the HR to manage that they then transitioned over into this kind of online self-service model. So with that, Jane, love for you to kind of chime in here as to your experience.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. In my experience in working with a particular large multi-employer group who initially wanted to keep the paper enrollment process when they initially came on board with BRMS. And within the second year of their on board with BRMS, we had a lot of discussions with the employee self-service. We went ahead and moved forward with the transition during open enrollment, and it was a huge success. So we had great positive feedback from both the members as well as the HR administration team. And now with this client, they are in their 11th year of employee self-service.
Wow. So it's interesting you mentioned a client, 11 years ago. I think we can all kind of chuckle on the phone here today saying that when we try to talk about, internet, online capabilities a decade ago, we had a whole lot of pushback by a lot of clients. Certainly, in my opinion, that's changing. I mean, a good example being I just purchased an iPhone for my grandma who's 86 2 years ago, and quite frankly, I think she knows how to use it better than I do. But, as you think about kind of your clients, I mean, we keep hearing sometimes the excuse of, well, we don't think that the employee base of the group is going to be tech savvy enough to understand how to do it. Or, we're taking over this group, and historically, this is how they've managed, their online, or the registration process, or bringing on, new employees or terminating. I mean, as you had groups kind of adopt to this model, I mean, are they still that mindset where everyone's continuing to struggle, or are they finding it easier to conduct business and utilize less resources in order to take care of their employee base?
many of my clients who have transitioned from paper enrollment to the online administration has found it to be a huge, huge time saver, meaning no more filling out multiple enrollment forms, no more manual submissions, as well as employees being able to go online and make updates to their own information, their dependents' information, and that will then feed over to our carriers automatically. So what we've found on our end is that it's been a huge time saver for our HR team, and as well as employees. With submissions of the paper enrollment, we could potentially be tracking down employees with missing information or discrepancies, and even possibly not even receiving the enrollment forms on our side. So there's been a huge time saver for our HR team on our side.
So, I mean, in a perfect world, I think all of us would want our clients going to an online self-service environment, right? Just the ease of communicating, the ease of everything being a little bit more accurate, the ease of the bottlenecks that can occur not having such a system. What is maybe you and your team outlining now? Like, we realize that potentially we're going to have groups that may not go this direction out of the gate, right? They're going to be adopters, going to be late to the game. Potentially they might be struggling if this pandemic continues. But can you maybe outline or share with the group today what sort of systems that you all are planning on putting in place should a group not go online self-service?
Currently, we do actually have processes in place right now for what we call our manual clients who do not utilize the employee self-service. So there's a lot of QA auditing in place for my team members, just to prevent any type of manual data entries on our side, and just ensuring that the enrollment forms are accurate on our side, because this is the eligibility that we are feeding over to our carriers on a weekly basis. So just ensuring that the audit is taken care of, and that if there's any type of discrepancies, again, reaching out to whether it's the HR team or to the employees, just being able to track down the information on our end.
So it does sound like a bit of a manual process that you'd have to go through in order to facilitate that, should a client still would remain on paper. Can you be sure with us the amount of effort it would take you and your team to support a company that would want to remain kind of that paper application or manual process as you referenced?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the manual process on our side, again, just being able to save that time frame when you have employee online the self-service versus the manual process, with a lot of the resources that we already have housed in our system. There are things that employees, what we like to have within our system, there's just that one place that they can go into, whether it's printing out their FCCs, their plan summaries, and even checking their eligibility online. They have the ability to do that. And so, again, just a huge time saver on our HR team side.
Got it. So the last question is sort of tongue-in-cheek, and I hate to ask it, but I think it's important for the group. Have you ever had a company that's implemented an online self-service feature, but for some reason or another they haven't enjoyed it when it come off? Has there ever been an experience that you've come across that's happened to?
No. Since the time I've been here, as Bill mentioned, I've been here since 2007. I have not had any clients who we've implemented from paper enrollment to employee self-service. I have never had any clients revert back to paper enrollment. And in fact, they've actually wished they would have transitioned much sooner on our end.
Yeah. Some of the same feedback I get as well. Well, Jane, thank you so much for your time today. I know you're busy. Again, I just thought it was important that you contribute to the meeting, give our audience kind of a flavor as to what you and your team have to deal with. Again, oftentimes I feel like it's a black hole that you have going on over there, where it's kind of more boots on the ground and shaking hands and kissing babies. So thank you for that. So as we progress our presentation, what I'd like to do is introduce Shelley Harlan. Shelley wears multiple hats. She's a director of marketing, director of sales, and sometimes I call her Superwoman. I'd like her to take the opportunity to discuss, what our Vbas system is, its capabilities, what to look for in a good Ben admin system. She's also going to share current system upgrades, again, what we're working on, and larger future projects, as well as a demo. So with that, thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Hello, everyone. I feel before we get into kind of what we're doing here at BRMS and a demo of our system, it's important to, share with you guys really what the purpose of a Ben admin system is for an employer. And it, in our eyes, is really the hub of all HR functions. It should be a seamless and secure data exchange for the entire benefits ecosystem, and it's critical to the delivery of, a trusted employer and employee experience. By BRMS being able to leverage a large portfolio of integrations that we've developed over the years, Vbas automates the data exchange across that ecosystem with ease and accuracy. This enhances the data quality and improves efficiencies for employers, reducing dual entry into multiple platforms or carrier portals. So Vbas, or a good Ben admin system, should be integrating with a payroll system, with any outside flexible spending account systems or vendors, the COBRA vendor, as well as transferring that key eligibility information to the carriers so that they have the accurate information for members to seek their benefits. So with that, I want to jump into kind of what we've done here at BRMS over the last year. We have a full in-house IT team, and they've been working hard to rewrite the code that makes up the backbone of our systems. We feel it's important as a technology vendor and solution to be up to date with our systems and provide the latest technology for our employers and our brokers. And we're excited about what flexibility this will bring us in order to continue meeting customer needs. So as they've been doing these updates on the back end, they've also been releasing some exciting enhancements to our system, the first being the redesign of our employee portal. And although they're working on a multi-phase release, many of the core changes that they've been working on, including a cleaner look and feel with new increased font size, widening of the screen, and a new navigation bar, have already taken place. So these changes have allowed our site to become dynamic, and what that means is whether an employee's on a mobile phone or their desktop, the screen will reposition itself for the best viewing experience for that member. Another exciting change comes from the increase in requests we've seen from our clients to have the ability to offer a benefit allowance. We're seeing with the increase in premiums employers are seeing on their health plans, we're seeing more employers move to a credit or an allowance type benefit. This allows employers to offer a fixed dollar amount and employees to have a so-called shopping experience when they're electing their benefits. So as they're in our system and enrolling in benefits, they're able to use this credit that the employer is allowed to pick and elect their benefits from. And lastly, we have a new document uploader that allows employees and the employer to attach documents to a member's account. These documents are things such as a birth certificate or marriage certificate, so that as employees are enrolling themselves, their dependents into coverages, those enrollments can be approved quicker because the employee is able to upload that information at time of enrollment. So as we're excited about some of these recent enhancements, I think we're even more excited about what's to come and what our IT team's doing to just make our systems even better. So I want to spend just a minute kind of talking about the roadmap we have planned for the next 6 to 12 months. Some of you may know we have a few different member sites, including a claim site for self-funded plans that we administer, a flexible spending site for FSA, HSA, and HRA services, and what we're working on is consolidating these sites into one site, so a My BRMS site, where regardless of what a member's coming to BRMS for, they'll have one site to visit, one login. Another crucial update in this streamlined login is implementing a multi-factor login authentication. So we'll be verifying, an employee's email address or through text message at time of registration. And once the member's logged in, we're real excited about a kind of dashboard viewing experience. So the ability to have all the employee or the member's pertinent benefit information up front as soon as they log in so they can easily navigate the site and get to what they need to see once they're logged in. So with that now, I want to jump into our demo for you all and kind of the added value from an employee side. We've talked a lot about how a benefit administration system can help the employer streamline their processes, but it's also important to understand what the employee can do within the system or site. And I think these days, employers are overwhelmed with the amount of requests that they're getting from their employees and the day-to-day interaction they're spending educating employees on their benefits, providing material, and especially now these days where a lot of employees are remote and the HR staff having to interact with their employees virtually, a benefit administration system allows the employee to have kind of that self-service ability where they can go in and access the information themselves. So you'll see here our login for the Vbas system or site. I'm actually logged in here already. And so some of you will notice a different view from our older Vbas system. We have a cleaner navigation bar up top, which I mentioned, as well as a cleaner text style. So the system allows the employer to add a welcome message. So when the employee's logging in, whether it's a message about open enrollment or new information the employer's wanting to get across to their employees, they can add a personalized message. I'm going to dive into the profile section so you can see how a member can edit their personal information. You'll see here that all of the basic information for an employee is housed within the system. We have the ability to turn on and off the edit functionality. So if you don't want an employee to be able to edit or change their address, change phone numbers within the site, we can turn this functionality off so that those type of requests or changes flow through the HR team or department. They also have the ability to add new dependents. So we talked a little bit about new dependents and needing to add birth certificates to the system, et cetera. They can do that here through the site, as well as any emergency contacts and their basic user information. Down here is that new functionality where they can add any personal files, again, the birth certificate, the marriage license, to their account. I'm going to skip over the open enrollment section here for a moment and take you into the current benefits. So this is everything that a member would currently be enrolled in. You can see here Judy Adams, whose account we're in right now. She's enrolled in a medical plan, dental plan, and a whole slew of additional plans. She has the ability to click on these plans for more information, her costs, see who's enrolled in the plan, her dependents. Get back here for you. She also has a summary of these benefits and her costs, so she can easily see what's coming out of her paycheck each pay period. She can go back and look historically, so if she wants to compare what her costs are today versus what they were a year ago, she has that ability. And then a complete cost summary, which includes what the employer's contribution to the plans are. So she can see what her costs are as well as what her employer is contributing and the overall cost of the plan. If she needs to print her enrollments for any reason, she has the ability to print those. Requests. This one is an important section, and it's an important section to help the employer out. So as Judy Adams goes in here and makes changes to her enrollments, to her information, if a request is set to pend for employer approval, she can get an overview of what the request was that she made and the status of the request from her employer. So she can see here that she tried to enroll a dependent in a medical coverage, but the employer denied the enrollment, possibly due to not having the birth certificate uploaded or, any other reason. Lastly, here is the resources. So this allows us to add any company contacts you may want. So if the employer wants to have the HR manager, HR director's contact information available, that can be added, as well as any documents that are tied to this employee and their eligibility. So if they're eligible for certain plans, certain information, they would only see the documents that are tied to their eligibility and what they can view or see, as well as any resource links. So whether it be a 401k that they need to link out to, how to find a provider links, those can all be housed within the resource links. And any news or upcoming events that the employer may want to share with the members. I'm going to jump back over here to the open enrollment. And this you can see the employee has already gone through the enrollment process. Just due to time, I wanted to give you an overview of what it looks like once an employee has enrolled in their coverages. It's a step-by-step process that the employee goes through to enroll in their coverages. With that, I know we're getting close on time, so I want to turn the ball back over to Bill and let him conclude this webinar for today.
Thank you so much, Shelley. Great job. So as I noted in the beginning part of our presentation, the new norm is causing potential a lot of disruption in the future. Here at BRMS, we're doing our best to help our brokers stay ahead of this potential issue, right, and making sure we're being proactive, making sure that we strategize a plan so that, when the clients are needing support in this area, it doesn't revert back to, well, if we knew this could have been an issue, why didn't we talk about it, right? No one wants to be put in that situation, nor do we. We just, quite frankly, it's going to be hard for us to manage that with all of our clientele if that were to happen. So, again, we need to stay in front of this. And we talked a lot about benefit administration, why it's important, what to look for in a plan, why we as BRMS are positioned well. As we manage our 550 employers, again, we are entrusted time in and time out to deliver and to help their clients. And a few little bullet points on this is really we have a quick implementation, right? We have a whole implementation team, account management teams to call centers. We have everything here to help support. Set up an ongoing system and maintenance. This is big. A lot of our competitors out there require that the broker or the HR or their staff go in and provide updates relative to maybe it's, higher premium in a plan or their rates change, right? We do this automatically for our clients, and the purpose behind this is because we want to take less stressors off your plate, allowing you to manage a relationship versus having to remember to do different things which, can lead to issues if not done right. So again, we do that all for our clients. Lastly, better healthcare informed decisions. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, employers, you as the broker have access to, whether it be on your phone, to your tablets, to your computers, ability to go in and do side-by-side analysis of different benefit structures and cost and what the differences are between each plans, to finding a doctor in the local area, to looking at co-insurance, to deductibles. So our job here is to make the process simple and in return make the broker you look favorable, right? And that's what we're here for. So it's interesting. What I'll conclude with is, 10 years ago as we started looking at the analytics on how many people were going in on a daily basis, kind of checking in on kind of a site to check on their benefits. I went on our Google Analytics page and over 4,000 clicks are happening daily. This is as of last month. We looked this morning, it's even higher. where employees are going in, looking at their benefits, trying to figure out, where to go and who to talk to about their medical condition. And in return, what that's doing is lightening up the workload for both my team and the HR staff, allowing them to do what they need to on a day-to-day basis, and therefore driving return on utilizing a benefit administration system like a Vbas. A couple housekeeping items here in conclusion is that I love to be able to reach out to each one of you. It could be a conversation about maybe it's a client that we currently have with each other where we don't think the technology is being used as effectively as it should, right? We'll have a discussion about that if need be, about who we need to pull in to make that a better experience. Maybe it's a client that you've been courting, going, hey, tell us more about your process, your systems, and how you work, and we want a better presentation. Happy to do that. And the final thing I'll conclude with is, it's interesting being in the sales position I'm at now. If I look at our pipeline, it doubled what it was last year this time of year. But what's more interesting is the cases we're working on are all most of them are 1-1. And the reason why that's important is because companies are willing to make change, but they're wanting to do so in a systematic and smart way about doing it. And so if there's a case that you want to talk about, be happy to do it. But we've got to stay out in front of this. We've got to create a system. We've got to create a game plan so that if you have a company that isn't happy, want to use a better qualified system like a Vbas or a BRMS, that we work in tandem so that appropriate steps are met to make sure the experience is positive for both you and your client. So thank you for that. I will be in touch with each one of you, and thank you again for your time.